Hey there, gamers! Something incredible just happened. The channel has hit over 10,000 subscribers. I can't thank you all enough for the support. For me, that's an unbelievable milestone, and it's all thanks to you. So, to celebrate, I've put together a list of the best shooters I've been hooked on lately. The genre is huge, of course, so not every game could make the cut. But if you enjoy this kind of list, I'll definitely make a part 2. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in. Battlefield 6. Let's start with a game that hasn't even released yet, but many of you may have already tried it in test format. And honestly, it felt magnificent. I haven't had emotions like this from the series since Battlefield 4. Battlefield 1 was great in its own way, of course, but here the franchise finally returns to a modern setting. No futuristic excess like in 2042, and with proper destruction. That destruction is once again the main feature of the game. Everything on the map can literally be blown apart. Walls, buildings, cover. You can clear paths with explosives or roll in heavy armor like a tank. It opens up completely new tactical options. Fans will also be happy about the return of the class system. Each of the 4 classes comes with its own unique weapons and gear. Some mechanics from Battlefield 5 are back too, like carrying wounded teammates or sprinting while crouched. As for the story, the year is 2027. NATO is collapsing, private military companies are rising, and you're thrown into the middle of a conflict between the remnants of the Alliance and the Pax Armada Corporation. And yes, Electronic Arts has confirmed that Battlefield 6 will include a standalone, free-to-play Battle Royale mode, separate from the main paid version. That rumor from a year and a half ago? Turns out it was true. Details are still scarce, but we know there will be both a survival-style mode and a more competitive format. The official release date is October 10th, so the wait is almost over. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus is the game that honestly made me fall in love with the entire series. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Metro 2033 and Last Light, but Exodus just hit different. The scale, the emotions, the way it kept me hooked from start to finish. It was on a whole new level. Sure, it has its little flaws here and there, but the overall package is so strong that you just kind of forget about them. The story feels carefully crafted, the dialogue actually matters, the world is insanely detailed, and the gameplay just ties it all together. It's the kind of mix that pulls you in and doesn't let go. The type of game where you blink and suddenly realize you've been playing for hours. And then that ending. Man, it left me with this strange mix of emotions. There was no frustration, no disappointment, just this bittersweet feeling that it was over. I didn't feel like uninstalling or moving on right away. Instead, I sat there kind of processing what I'd just experienced. It felt like I'd actually finished something meaningful, something that deserved to be called a great game. The narrative is really where it shines. You can tell it wasn't slapped together over a weekend. Every little detail feels intentional, and it's clear a lot of love went into the writing. While playing, I didn't just follow the story, I lived in it. I connected with the characters, felt their struggles, and honestly, I didn't want to leave. That's rare. When the credits rolled, I was a little sad. Not because of how it ended, but because I wanted more. More exploring different locations, more scavenging for gear, more tweaking weapons before the next big fight. And the wild part? This was just my first playthrough. I already know I'll be coming back, diving in again, and probably loving it just as much the second time. Helldivers 2. This game became a real phenomenon that nobody expected to see from Sony. A third-person cooperative shooter where you and friends fight for democracy against alien invaders. And you know what, friends? This works simply beautifully. There's everything you need for a perfect evening with friends. Chaotic shootouts, accidental explosions of your own teammates, and an incredible amount of laughter over the absurdity of what's happening. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes it even more appealing. The friendly fire mechanic turns every mission into a comedy of errors where an orbital strike can accidentally hit not only enemies, but also your team. The stratagem system adds tactical depth. You need to correctly input button sequences to call orbital support. Each planet offers unique challenges, from acid rain to sandstorms that affect gameplay. The enemies here are also diverse. From insect-like bugs to automaton robots, each type requires its own approach. Large-scale battles look especially cool when real chaos of explosions, lasers, and flying enemy parts happens on screen. The sound design is also top-notch. Every shot, every explosion feels powerful and convincing. The game is constantly updated with new missions, enemies, and weapons being added. This is exactly the game you want to play again and again, especially with friends. A must-play for all cooperative shooter lovers who appreciate quality humor and aren't afraid to accidentally blow up a teammate for the sake of saving the galaxy. Stalker 2. This game causes a lot of disputes and disagreements in the gaming community, so I'll say right away, I will discuss the game absolutely neutrally and won't touch on or take anyone's political position. In Stalker 2, you could say it's a game that became legendary long before release, considering the entire development history. Over 15 years of waiting, we've already seen the game's cancellation and the closure of the previous GSC game world. Then we also saw the studio's reincarnation, the game's re-announcement, as well as numerous delays over several years. This game was already legendary for both the best and not-so-great reasons. Stalker 2 took the best from the original trilogy's concept, modernizing it according to new standards, but without losing its signature features that we loved and love about the original trilogy. Moreover, the game plays heavily on nostalgic feelings, which is really great. We enjoy what we know and love, but now it looks more beautiful. The result is simply a magnificent mix that pleases both old fans like me and can attract a young, new audience. Overall, friends, what can I say about Stalker 2? Compared to the original game, nothing was spoiled or radically changed, only improved, updated, and expanded. This is the good old Stalker. The enchanting atmosphere of post-Soviet post-apocalypse will absorb you, believe me, for a long time and bring a lot of pleasure, so I recommend it. Hell Let Loose. A game I probably wouldn't have even gotten familiar with if it hadn't been added to Game Pass. And friends, how grateful I am to Microsoft for their subscription that gives the opportunity to try something new. Because this is a hardcore World War II shooter where you can die from just one wound. And before, I didn't really like that, preferring more dynamic games. Here, though, you can't just run headlong forward. You gradually advance with the team, placing mines, waiting for the right moment to break through, or even stealthily bypassing enemies following overall tactics. Need I say that the winner here isn't a lone player, but a cohesive team? One that acts together. The commander calls airstrikes, smoke screens, respawns vehicles. From heavy tanks to cars to get to capture points faster. Since the map is simply incredibly huge, battles on it last from half an hour and more. Assault troops run forward, machine gunners take sheltered spots on high ground. Snipers work from afar, and artillerymen from the base send greetings to enemies in trenches based on targeting. This isn't just a game about war. This is war from World War II times, with realistic graphics, gorgeous sound effects, and incredible atmosphere. No World War II shooter will give you such emotions and immersion. So friends, if you haven't tried it, I strongly advise you to. Especially since the game is included in Game Pass. Apex Legends. A radically opposite game from the previous one, where to kill an opponent you need to unload a whole magazine into them. And to win, you need to run from place to place collecting loot and leveling up your character. After all, this is Battle Royale, but with mandatory team interaction, since they simply won't let you play alone. And even in solo, they'll give you 2 companions. Which, in my opinion, is way more fun than wandering the map alone. After all, teammates will mark useful loot and help in tough battles, and if they knock you down, they can revive you, heal you, and even restore you through a replicator. Plus, besides Battle Royale mode, there are many other modes that developers update from time to time. Right now, for example, it's Deathmatch, where even after death you return to the arena as long as at least one of your teammates is alive, which adds dynamics. And of course, there are classic team versus team arenas. And despite this being far from new, I also sometimes like to jump in and play, so I simply couldn't not mention this legend. With pleasant graphics, dynamic gameplay, and most importantly, gorgeous shooting. It's probably worth saying that on PC, the game hasn't had the most positive reviews lately, due to bugs, cheaters, and various minor issues. But since I play on Xbox, I can't say anything bad about it. Fallout 4. Bethesda games are created for two things. First, for the meme. Hey, buy it already. And second, to load a ton of modifications onto them. So I recommend playing Fallout 4 only with mods, in this case, graphics mods. Boston in the original already looked decent. Rusty cars, destroyed houses, cities, ghosts, nature slowly reclaiming its territory. But when you install modifications, everything turns into a different game. It's like taking old film and upgrading it to 4K HDR through artificial intelligence. Forests become dense, water crystal clear, and the sky rich. Grass, colors, leaves, everything comes alive. Lighting mods make sunsets simply cosmic. Orange light breaks through trees. Everything becomes soft and almost cozy. Well, as cozy as it can be if you don't count super mutants around the corner. Cities at night look especially awesome when lighting turns on. Mods add glows, neon signs, new window textures. Diamond City itself starts looking like a real wasteland capital. Lights, smoke, music from the radio, and you stand on a roof, look down, and think, yeah, the world burned, but it's still damn beautiful. And of course, nature. There are mods that turn Fallout into something like The Last of Us. All these vines, bushes, trees growing through asphalt. Flowers bloom on ruins, and everything is beautifully lit by sunbeams in the background. So if you want to dive into post-apocalypse themes where you can spend literally 100 hours and with mods, 200 or 300 hours, then Fallout is a must for everyone and anyone to check out. Arma Reforger. Now this game, friends, is a legend. More precisely, its previous version, Arma 3, from whose modifications appeared DayZ and PUBG, and many other games. Because gameplay-wise, this is a tactical military simulator where bullet flight physics are calculated, there's lots of different equipment from ground to air, and dozens of different modes, from full realism where you need to navigate by compass and map, and fight using real weapon models, equipment, all with radio communication with your teammates, to more arcade but no less interesting modes, and I won't even talk about modifications. Friends, there are even Star Wars-style servers here. Well, more precisely, they exist in Arma 3. Well, Reforger is like a transitional version from the third part to the fourth. It's built on the new Infusion engine, which provides more modern graphics, realistic physics and dynamic weather, as well as advanced multiplayer with cross-platform gaming between PC and consoles. There's no story here, of course. The game focuses on multiplayer with Sandbox, where players create their own story on each server. Thanks to which everyone will find a suitable game variant for themselves. So if you have someone to play with, this is perhaps one of the best cooperative shooters worth playing. VLADiK BRUTAL. An indie game developed by just one person, but capable of competing with multi-million-dollar blockbusters. And you know, friends, when I first launched the game, I was skeptical. Well, one person can't replace an entire studio, can they? Turns out they can. And in some places, it even surpasses some modern releases, at least with its soulfulness and atmosphere inspired primarily by the Half-Life series with notes of trash and black humor. The game's action unfolds in a fictional dictatorial state where residents have chips implanted from birth for surveillance to suppress any dissent. But it so happens that our hero, working in a secret laboratory, gains super regeneration and with its help, tries to overthrow the dictatorial regime. Shooting, albeit in linear format, various interesting enemies, from mutants to zombies with regular security forces, using different weapons. This is exactly an example of quality indie game development that you want to play. And recently I heard an interesting thought, friends, that soon AAA will die out as a genre. Only giants like GTA will remain, and everyone else will start making AA games, since it's both cheaper and brings more profit. And most importantly, the games turn out better. Far Cry 5. In my opinion, not only the most atmospheric game in the entire series, but also the most beautiful, even despite the existence of the seemingly more technological sixth one. Here it's a matter of taste, really, because some people love the bright green jungles from the third one with the blue ocean. Someone loves the slightly more restrained Kyrat from the fourth one, but I'm madly in love with the implementation of small-town America from the fifth one. The game's action takes place in Hope County, or more simply, in Montana State, which attracts me personally with its simplicity. Mountains, forests, and rivers. I don't know about others, but personally, having watched a bunch of series or movies where events happened in similar places, I always had the desire to come to such a small town, buy myself a pickup truck, turn on classic rock radio, and cruise around the state. And it's exactly here that such an opportunity is given. The game has very beautiful nature, and there are several ways you can explore it. You can use good old cars, you can take a boat, or for the first time in the series, get in a plane or helicopter and look at the world from a bird's eye view. Or just go fishing. Take even those outposts in this game. Often these aren't just a set of different buildings, but really necessary structures that fit well into the game's atmosphere. I don't think I need to talk about the musical component. The tracks in the fifth one personally hit my heart, and more than one track went into my personal playlist after completing the game. Overall, for those who are really into small-town America atmosphere, a slightly crazy but interesting story about sectarians, and insanely beautiful nature views in different weather conditions, you shouldn't skip the fifth one at all. I highly recommend everyone and anyone to check it out. Doom: The Dark Ages? There's a lot of debate around this part. Some compare it to Eternal and expected high-speed carnage from it, while others compare the game to the 2016 reboot and expect the same meaty, moderately fast, more, let's say, default shooter from it. But it seems to me, friends, there's no point comparing all these three parts. Why? The developers have made three completely different games for us over 10 years, the foundation of which is based on different things and mechanics. Doom 2016 is a more standard first-person shooter. Doom Eternal is like a combat puzzle where the player needs to constantly change weapons, dash around the arena from side to side, and use the environment to get out alive from the arena. And Doom. The Dark Ages is simply something else, not like the previous two ID Software games. The new Doom is like a mix of shooter and probably Souls-like. The parrying mechanic in the game came in very handy. Thanks to responsive controls, parrying feels great to me, and in general, the Doomslayer's shield in the game is a very cool feature that literally turns the main character into a tank that simply sweeps away all this hellish evil in close combat. And this feels magnificent. The developers didn't forget about ranged weapons either. The game features new very cool guns that I generally liked. The game is good with this overall. All weapons look impressive, and if you learn to use them depending on the situation, the game turns into simply an attraction of tanking with a shield and firing cannons. Overall, it's a peculiar mechanic that definitely won't let you get bored. The visuals are also pleasing. The artists clearly tried hard, and technologically, the game looks wonderful. The only issue is with music. And no, it's not about the absence of Mick Gordon among the composers, there's just somehow not enough music. And it's the most forgettable in the series in my opinion, but again, that's my taste. Maybe someone else will like it. Overall, I definitely recommend everyone who liked the previous two parts to check out the game, and I can boldly recommend it to people who haven't played the previous parts at all, but love fun, driving shooters. I think you'll definitely like the game. Atomic Heart. This game became one of the most unexpected projects of recent years. Soviet Bioshock in an alternative reality, where the USSR became a technological superpower. And the atmosphere here is truly something special. Imagine a utopian Soviet Union where robots help people and technologies are developed to incredible heights. But something went wrong, and these same robots started killing everyone. Visually, the game is simply stunning. Retro-futuristic design, bright colors, Soviet symbolism mixed with high technology. All this creates a unique atmosphere that exists nowhere else. The interiors of scientific complexes are especially impressive, where Soviet aesthetics intertwine with futuristic technologies. Helper robots turned into deadly killers, and every encounter with them becomes a test. Gameplay combines elements of shooter and RPG. You can upgrade weapons, study abilities, solve puzzles. The weapons here are quite diverse, from classic guns to experimental Soviet developments. The crafting system looks especially cool, where you can create ammo and upgrades right from improvised materials. The musical accompaniment is also top-notch. especially when Soviet hits sound and modern processing, creating a surreal atmosphere. The story touches on philosophical questions about progress, humanity, and the price of utopia. The main character, Major Nekrasov, finds himself at the center of a conspiracy that could destroy the entire world. Yes, the game isn't perfect. There are technical problems and controversial moments, but the overall impression remains very strong. This is definitely a case where you should try something completely new and unusual in the gaming world. Bright Memory Infinite. This is a short but incredibly spectacular game that shows what one person with big ambitions can achieve. The developer practically single-handedly created a shooter that can compete with AAA projects in visual effects. And this is simply amazing, considering the scale of work done. The story here is quite simple. You play as Agent Shelia, who fights against various enemies using both firearms and melee weapons. Events unfold in 2036 when scientists accidentally open a portal to another dimension, releasing ancient warriors and mythical creatures from there. The game's highlight is in incredible visual effects and cinematography. Every firefight looks like a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster. Explosions, slow motion, spectacular finishing moves. The sword combined with firearms creates unique gameplay that won't let you get bored. You can slash enemies with a blade, throw them into the air and shoot them down, use telekinesis and other superpowers. The combat system is thought out to the smallest details. Every hit feels weighty, and combo attacks look simply fantastic. The enemies here are diverse, from modern soldiers to ancient samurai and mythical creatures. Each enemy type requires its own approach and tactics. The bosses are especially impressive. Battles with them turn into real cinematic scenes. The musical accompaniment perfectly emphasizes the dynamics of what's happening, creating the feeling of participating in an action movie. Yes, the game is short. You can complete it in a couple of hours, but these hours will be filled with pure adrenaline and delight from what's happening on screen. For an indie project, this is simply an incredible achievement that deserves attention from all lovers of beautiful shooters and serves as an example that quality is more important than quantity. Gears of War Reloaded, a remaster of a simply legendary third-person shooter that, according to rumors, gave birth to the cover-based shooting genre where you need to run from cover to cover. But that's, of course, a joke. Nevertheless, after a quite successful Oblivion remaster, another studio under Microsoft's wing decided not to sit on the sidelines either, releasing their updated game about war on the post-apocalyptic planet Serra, where Marcus Fenix's squad fights against a horde of evil locust creatures. Gears of War Reloaded preserves the series' typical tactical combat mechanics, with emphasis on using cover, teamwork, and diverse weapons. Only with smoother animations, improved shooting, effects, and more realistic graphics with bright explosions, detailed environments, and everything else that remasters are famous for. I'll honestly admit, friends, I haven't finished the game yet. Didn't have time. But just launching it and running around the first location, I was so hit by nostalgia that I think for the next couple of days I'll go offline and immerse myself in the playthrough. So this is a great opportunity both to feel nostalgic and get acquainted with a classic, especially now when the game is available in Game Pass and also came out on PlayStation 5. The Division 1 and 2 aren't just shooters about spec ops and viruses. If you look at them from the angle of open-world beauty, they're games where every street is a story, how the beautiful can be destroyed, and the destroyed can still stay beautiful. Yeah, I threw 2 games in one spot again, to save some time for me and not waste yours. Both parts take place in different cities, and each is gorgeous in its own way. In the first game, Winter New York looks amazing, probably one of the best versions of the city in games. You walk through Manhattan, empty streets, signs swaying in the wind, snow crunching under your boots, and silence that almost freezes your heart. By day, it blinds you with whiteness, and at night, streetlights glow on wet asphalt like in a noir movie. In the second game, it's hot. Washington, D.C. winter switched to summer, but the end-of-the-world vibe stayed. Grass grows through cracks, dust floats in the air, the city looks like it gave up. Everything's overgrown, rusty, fading away, yet there's a certain romance to it, kind of like The Last of Us. You walk past federal buildings, abandoned museums, ruined blocks, and every frame feels like art. Yeah, it's a shooter, but sometimes you just want to put the gun away and take photos. Especially at sunset, when light cuts through dust, leaves sway, and birds fly above the ruins. The Division feels like a dead metropolis in golden hour. Sad, huge, and beautiful. And that's all for today. As I said at the beginning, the list is far from complete because there are a huge number of shooter games, both old and new, and each deserves attention. Here I collected exactly those I've played recently myself. Well, you can write your favorite games in the comments. This way you'll both help me create future videos and help other viewers who come to the comments looking for something interesting. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It now has over 10,000 subscribers, and see you soon.